This is the true story of Roy Benavidez. In 1965, he was sent to South Vietnam as an advisor to an Army of the Republic of Vietnam Infantry Regiment. That's when he stepped on a landmine during a patrol, and he was evacuated to the U.S., where doctors at Fort Sam Houston concluded that he would never walk again and began preparing his medical discharge papers. And as Benavidez noted in his 1981 Medal of Honor acceptance speech, stung by the diagnosis as well as flag burnings and media criticism of the U.S. military presence in Vietnam that he saw on TV, he began an unsanctioned nightly training ritual in an attempt to redevelop his ability to walk. Getting out of bed at night against doctors' orders, Benavidez would crawl using his elbows and chin to a wall near his bedside, and with the encouragement of his fellow patients, many of whom were permanently paralyzed and or missing limbs, he would prop himself against the wall and attempt to lift himself unaided, starting by wiggling his toes, then his feet, and then eventually, after several months of excruciating practice that by his own admission often left him in tears, pushing himself up the wall with his ankles and legs. After over a year of hospitalization, Benavidez walked out of the hospital in July of 1966 with his wife at his side and determined to return to combat in Vietnam. Despite continuing pain from his wounds, he returned to South Vietnam in January of 1968. Then on May 2, 1968, a 12-man Special Forces patrol, which included 9 Montagnard tribesmen, was surrounded by an NVA infantry battalion of about 1,000 men. Benavidez heard the radio appeal for help and boarded a helicopter to respond, and armed only with a knife, he jumped from the helicopter carrying his medical bag and ran to help the trapped patrol. Benavidez distinguished himself by a series of daring and extremely valorous actions, and because of his gallant choice to join voluntarily his comrades who were in critical straits, to expose himself constantly to withering enemy fire, and his refusal to be stopped, despite numerous severe wounds, saved the lives of at least 8 men, and after the battle he was evacuated to the base camp, examined, and thought to be dead. As he was placed in the body bag among the other dead, he was suddenly recognized by a friend who called for help. A doctor came and examined him, but he believed Benavidez was dead. The doctor was about to zip up the body bag when Benavidez managed to spit in his face, alerting the doctor that he was indeed still alive. Benavidez had a total of 37 separate bullet, bayonet, and shrapnel wounds from the 6-hour fight with the enemy battalion. Benavidez was evacuated once again to Brooke Army Medical Center, where he eventually recovered. He received the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism and 4 Purple Hearts. In 1969, he was assigned to Fort Riley, Kansas. Then in 1972, he was assigned to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, where he remained until retirement. It wouldn't be until February 24, 1981, that President Ronald Reagan presented Roy Benavidez with the Medal of Honor. Reagan turned to the press and said, "If the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it." He then read the official award citation. Thanks for watching, and remember, if it's more interesting, you can find it here.